A secret billionaire drove a taxi for 30 days to learn how ordinary people lived. But on the last ride, he met a woman whose hatred for rich men would turn his entire world upside down. The elevator doors slid open on the 42nd floor of the Hayes Innovation Tower, revealing floor-to-ceiling windows that framed Atlanta's glittering skyline. Alexander Hayes stepped out, his Italian leather shoes silent against the marble floor. At 30 years old, he had everything the world said should make him happy: a tech empire worth billions, a penthouse overlooking Piedmont Park, and a face that regularly graced the covers of Forbes and Fortune. Yet as he walked past his assistant's desk, currently occupied by the third Jessica in 2 months, Alexander felt the familiar weight pressing down on his chest. "Mr. Hayes," Jessica number 3 chirped, batting her eyelashes. "Your 11 o'clock with the investors is ready, and your lunch reservation at the St. Regis has been confirmed. Also," Vanessa called again. "That's the 4th time this morning." Alexander suppressed a groan. Vanessa Montgomery, supermodel, socialite, and his girlfriend of exactly 3 weeks. 3 weeks too long, if he was being honest with himself. "Thank you, Jessica. Hold all my calls during the meeting." Inside his office, Alexander loosened his tie and stared out at the city he'd conquered. The Georgia Aquarium gleamed in the distance. Mercedes-Benz Stadium curved like a metallic spaceship. Somewhere down there, in the maze of streets and neighborhoods, real people were living real lives. And here he was, trapped in a tower of his own making. His phone buzzed. Vanessa again. He declined the call and opened their text thread. "Alex, darling, don't forget we have the charity gala tonight. I bought the most divine Versace gown. Everyone will be so jealous. See you at 8. XOXO. Alexander closed his eyes. Another gala. Another night of fake smiles and shallower conversations. Another woman who saw him as Alexander Hayes, CEO, not as Alex. The kid who used to fix computers in his parents' garage in suburban Marietta, who loved old movies and terrible puns, who just wanted someone to see him. A knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in." Marcus Chen, his best friend since college and Hayes Innovations CFO, entered carrying 2 coffees from their favorite spot on Ponce de Leon Avenue. Marcus was one of the few people who'd known Alexander before the money, before the empire. "You look like someone just told you Bitcoin crashed," Marcus said, setting a coffee on Alexander's desk. "What's wrong? And don't say nothing. I've known you too long for that crap." Alexander took the coffee gratefully. "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Philosophical at 10 in the morning? That's a new low, even for you." Marcus settled into the leather chair across from him. "What happened?" "Vanessa asked me to co-sign a loan for her lifestyle brand last night." Marcus nearly spit out his coffee. "You've known her for 3 weeks." "Exactly." Alexander slumped in his chair. "Before her there was Chelsea, the one who sold photos of my bedroom to a tabloid. Before that, Brittany, who accidentally texted me asking her friend if she should seal the deal with the rich nerd. They don't want me, Marcus. They want Alexander Hayes, the bank account with a pulse." Marcus studied him for a long moment. "So what are you going to do about it?" "What can I do? Put an ad in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution? Wanted, woman who doesn't know I'm a billionaire?" Marcus's eyes lit up with that dangerous gleam Alexander knew all too well. "Actually, that's not a terrible idea." "Marcus, hear me out. Remember sophomore year when you worked undercover as a barista for that market research project? You loved it. You said it was the first time people treated you like a normal person. That was 10 years ago, and I made minimum wage for 2 months. Exactly, and you were happy." Marcus leaned forward. "Look, you're burned out. Take a break. Not to the Bahamas or some private island. Really disconnect. Become someone else for a while." The idea was insane, completely ridiculous. Alexander Hayes, CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, couldn't just vanish into thin air. And yet, "What would I even do?" Marcus grinned. "Anything, everything. Drive for a rideshare, work at a restaurant, hell, become a taxi driver. Those old yellow cabs are still around. Meet real people, have real conversations. See if anyone falls for Alex the person, not Alexander Hayes the billionaire." Alexander turned back to the window. Down below, a yellow taxi crawled through traffic on Peachtree Street, carrying passengers to destinations unknown. A small, ordinary vehicle in an ocean of humanity. Freedom in a yellow cage. 30 days, Alexander said suddenly. What? I'll do it for 30 days. You handle the company. Tell everyone I'm on a silent meditation retreat in Tibet or something. I'll drive a taxi. Be a regular person. He turned to face Marcus, and for the first time in months he felt a spark of something like excitement. What's the worst that could happen? Marcus's grin widened. You could fall in love. Yeah, right. Alexander laughed, but it came out hollow. That would require someone actually loving me back. 3 days later, Alexander Hayes stood in a cramped apartment in the Virginia Highland neighborhood, staring at his reflection in a cracked bathroom mirror. His designer stubble was gone, replaced by a fuller beard. His usually styled hair was messier, more lived in. He wore a simple flannel shirt and jeans, clothes he'd bought from a Target in Decatur, paying cash. The man staring back at him looked tired, real, human. Behind him, the yellow taxicab was parked outside, properly licensed, fully legal, completely anonymous. Marcus had somehow pulled strings to make it happen. The hack license in Alexander's wallet bore the name Alex Turner. His phone buzzed with texts from his old life. Vanessa, furious about his sudden spiritual retreat, business partners demanding meetings, society columnists wondering where Atlanta's most eligible bachelor had disappeared to. Alexander Hayes turned off the phone and slipped it into a drawer. For the next 30 days, he was just Alex. He grabbed the taxi keys and headed out into the Atlanta morning, the summer heat already rising from the pavement. Traffic hummed on Ponce de Leon. A few blocks away, the Claremont Hotel's vintage sign blinked against the sky. People hurried past, nurses heading to shift changes, students rushing to Georgia Tech, servers heading to brunch service at Ponce City Market. Real people, living real lives. And somewhere out there in this sprawling, chaotic, beautiful city, though Alexander didn't know it yet, a young nurse named Emma Rose Carter was finishing a double shift at Grady Memorial Hospital, cursing under her breath as she realized she'd missed her bus again. She needed a ride, and Alex Turner in his yellow taxi was about to answer the call. Emma Rose Carter's feet were screaming. 12 hours on the emergency room floor at Grady Memorial Hospital had left her scrubs wrinkled, her hair escaping its ponytail in rebellious wisps, and her patients thinner than the hospital's budget for decent coffee. She checked her phone. 3:47 p.m. She had exactly 43 minutes to get across town to her second job at the Waffle House on Memorial Drive. The bus that would have gotten her there on time had pulled away from the curb 30 seconds ago, leaving her stranded in the sticky Georgia heat. Perfect, she muttered, wiping sweat from her forehead. Just perfect. Emma had learned long ago that life didn't care about perfect timing. Life cared about medical bills, rent payments, and the crushing weight of her mother's hospital debt, courtesy of stage 3 breast cancer and an insurance company that found every possible reason to deny coverage. She opened her rideshare app. The estimated wait time made her want to cry. 45 minutes, she'd be late. Again. And Jerry, her manager at the Waffle House, had made it abundantly clear that late and employed were mutually exclusive concepts. A yellow taxi rounded the corner, its vacant light glowing like a beacon of hope. Emma's arm shot up. Taxi! The cab slowed, pulling to the curb with a gentle screech of brakes. Through the window, she could see the driver, a man with a dark beard, wearing a faded flannel shirt. He looked normal, tired, real. She yanked open the back door and practically fell into the seat. Memorial Drive, Waffle House. And please, I'm begging you, drive like you're being chased by the police but still want to keep your license. In the rearview mirror, she caught the driver's eyes. They were warm, surprised, and was that amusement? Rough day? His voice was deeper than she expected, with a hint of something she couldn't quite place. Education, maybe. He didn't sound like the usual taxi drivers she'd ridden with. Rough doesn't even begin to cover it. Emma slumped against the seat, closing her eyes. I've had a cardiac arrest, 2 overdoses. a guy who tried to fight me because we wouldn't give him oxycodone, and a teenager who came in with a broken arm from trying to recreate a TikTok stunt. And now I'm going to be late to my second job because apparently the universe has it out for me today. Second job? The taxi pulled smoothly into traffic, heading toward I-20. That's brutal. Yeah, well, medical bills don't pay themselves. Emma opened her eyes, studying the back of his head. His hair was dark, slightly messy in a way that looked natural rather than styled. Sorry, I don't usually dump my problems on complete strangers. It's been a day. Don't apologize, I asked. He glanced at her in the mirror again, and Emma felt an odd flutter in her chest. I'm Alex, by the way. And before you ask, yes, I know you're supposed to use the driver's name displayed on the hack license, but Alex Turner sounds less intimidating than the full Alexander Jonathan Turner that my mother insisted on. Emma found herself smiling, despite her exhaustion. Emma Carter, and I appreciate the first name basis. Makes this whole racing against time thing feel more like a team effort. Team avoid unemployment, Alex said, signaling to merge onto the highway. I like it. So what's the Waffle House strategy? Are we talking scattered, smothered, covered, or the full works? Emma laughed, actually laughed, for the first time all day. You know your Waffle House terminology. I'm impressed. Most people just point at pictures on the menu. I'm a man of refined tastes, Alex said, and Emma could hear the smile in his voice, which apparently includes knowing the difference between scattered and smothered hash browns. My college years were fueled by 70% Waffle House and 30% terrible decisions. Only 30% terrible decisions? You must have been the responsible one in your friend group. Something like that. There was an odd note in his voice, something that made Emma curious, but before she could press, he changed the subject. So, nursing and Waffle House. That's a combination that requires serious energy. And caffeine, so much caffeine. Emma watched the city slide past her window, the familiar landscape of downtown Atlanta giving way to neighborhoods and strip malls. It's temporary, though, just until I pay off some debt. Medical debt, specifically. Yours? My mom's. The words came out before Emma could stop them. She usually didn't talk about this, especially not with strangers, but something about this taxi, this driver, made her feel safe. She had breast cancer. Beat it, thank God, but the bills... Emma trailed off, shaking her head. Let's just say the American healthcare system is a beautiful nightmare. I'm sorry, Alex said quietly. That must be incredibly hard. It is what it is. Emma straightened in her seat, uncomfortable with the sudden vulnerability. But hey, I'm great at making hash browns now, so silver linings, right? They were making good time. Alex drove with a confidence that surprised her. Smooth lane changes, perfect timing with the lights. Not aggressive, but efficient. Emma found herself relaxing, the tension in her shoulders easing for the first time since her shift started. Can I ask you something? Alex said as they exited the highway. Sure. Why nursing? I mean, aside from the obvious helping people answer that I'm sure you've given 1,000 times. Emma considered the question. Most people didn't actually want to know. They wanted the sanitized, inspirational version. Honestly, control. Control? When my mom got sick, I felt completely helpless. Doctors were making decisions, insurance companies were making decisions, and I was just standing there, watching. I hated it. Emma leaned forward slightly. Nursing gives me the ability to actually do something, to take action. It's not perfect, and some days I want to scream into a pillow for 3 hours straight, but at least I'm not helpless anymore. In the rearview mirror, Alex's eyes met hers again. That's the most honest answer I've ever heard to that question. Yeah, well, it's been a day for honesty, apparently. Emma checked her phone. And thanks to your excellent driving, I'm going to be on time. Miracles do happen. Alex pulled into the Waffle House parking lot with 5 minutes to spare. Emma reached for her wallet, pulling out crumpled bills. How much do I owe you? $23.50. Emma counted out bills and change, then hesitated. She had exactly $3 left until payday, 48 hours away. She could tip $2 and keep $1 for emergency coffee, or she handed Alex all $3. Keep the change. You saved my job. That's worth way more than $3. You don't have to... I insist. Consider it hazard pay for listening to me complain for 20 minutes. Alex took the money, but something in his expression shifted. He looked troubled, almost guilty. Emma? Yeah? Would it be incredibly unprofessional if I gave you my number? Not in a creepy way, he added quickly. Just, if you ever need a reliable ride to work, I'm usually driving this route anyway. Save you some money on surge pricing and bus schedules. Emma should have said no. She should have thanked him politely and walked away. She had rules about men, especially since Brandon, the trust fund asshole who'd played her like a fiddle, and then laughed about the charity case nurse he'd been slumming with. But Alex's eyes in that mirror had been kind, and he'd listened to her, really listened, without judgment or pity. That's either the nicest thing someone's done for me in months, or you're a serial killer, Emma said. I'm going to hope it's the former. Alex laughed, a real, genuine laugh that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Definitely not a serial killer. Scout's honor. Were you actually a scout? No, but I watched a lot of wholesome TV as a kid. Does that count? Emma found herself writing her number on a Waffle House napkin from her bag. Here, but fair warning, if you turn out to be a creep, I know where all the major arteries are and exactly how much pressure it takes to make someone pass out. Noted and terrified, Alex said, taking the napkin like it was made of gold. I promise to be aggressively not creepy. Emma opened the door, then paused. Thanks, Alex. Really. You saved my day. Any time, Emma Carter. She walked into the Waffle House with 2 minutes to spare, her feet still aching, her scrubs still wrinkled but somehow feeling lighter than she had in months. Behind her, the yellow taxi pulled away and Alex Turner sat gripping the steering wheel, staring at a napkin with 10 digits that suddenly felt like the most important numbers in the world. What had Marcus said? You could fall in love. Alex had laughed at the idea. He wasn't laughing anymore. For 3 days, Alex stared at that napkin. He'd taped it to his bathroom mirror in the Virginia Highland apartment, right next to his fake hack license. Every morning he'd see Emma Carter's handwriting, loopy and hurried, the A in Carter slightly smudged, and he'd reach for his phone. And every morning he'd chicken out. What was he supposed to say? Hey, it's your taxi driver. Want to pay me to drive you around? That sounded either pathetic or like a proposition. Neither was the vibe he was going for. On the 4th day, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. Unknown. Is this Alex the taxi driver or Alex the serial killer? Need to know before I request a ride. Alex nearly dropped his coffee. Alex, definitely the taxi driver. Scout's honor, though I still never actually was a scout. Emma, good enough for me. Any chance you're free tomorrow morning? 7 a.m. pickup from Grady? My car died, like permanently died. I'm officially carless. Alex, I'll be there, and I'm sorry about your car. Emma, don't be. It was held together by duct tape and prayers. Honestly surprised it lasted this long. See you tomorrow. Alex stared at his phone, grinning like an idiot. Marcus would have mocked him mercilessly. The next morning, Alex pulled up to Grady Memorial Hospital at 6:55 a.m. Emma emerged from the employee entrance looking exhausted, but somehow still managing to smile. Her scrubs were light blue today, and she carried a massive travel mug that probably contained enough caffeine to wake a small village. My hero, she said, sliding into the back seat. Seriously, Alex, you're a lifesaver. The bus system here is, let's just say it's an adventure in patience. Happy to help. Alex pulled into traffic, heading toward Virginia Highland. Emma had texted him her address the night before, a small apartment complex near Ponce City Market. Rough shift? Define rough. Does a guy throwing up on my shoes count as rough? That definitely counts. Then yes, very rough. Emma took a long drink from her mug. But I saved a kid's life tonight, so that sort of balances out the shoe vomit. He came in with anaphylaxis, allergic reaction, and we got him stabilized just in time. His mom was crying and hugging everyone. Made the whole shift worth it. Alex found himself smiling. That's incredible, Emma. It's the job. But he could hear the pride in her voice. What about you? Any interesting passengers lately? Well, yesterday I drove a woman. who was convinced the government was spying on her through her dental fillings. She paid in exact change and left a tinfoil hat in my back seat. Emma burst out laughing, a real full laugh that made Alex's chest feel warm. Please tell me you kept the hat. I absolutely kept the hat. It's a work of art, very carefully crafted. I want to see this hat. Next ride, I'll show you. It's stored safely in my trunk alongside my collection of weird things passengers have left behind. Oh, this I have to hear. What else is in this collection? Alex thought fast. He couldn't mention the Mont Blanc pen some businessman had left, or the Hermes scarf. Nothing that would suggest his passengers were wealthy. A self-help book called Talking to Your Cat About Gun Safety, 3 single flip-flops, never matching pairs, and a very angry letter addressed to someone named Kevin about his betrayal at the company picnic. Emma was laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. Stop! Stop, I can't breathe. The Kevin letter, did you read it? Every word. Kevin apparently ate someone's potato salad without permission, and then won the 3-legged race with Karen from accounting. The betrayal was deep. Kevin sounds like a monster, the worst kind of monster, a potato salad thief. They were pulling up to Emma's apartment complex now, a modest building with peeling paint and a struggling garden. Alex's penthouse probably cost more per month than this entire building, but he pushed that thought away. Emma reached for her wallet. What do I owe you? $18. Emma counted out a 20. Keep the change. And Alex? Thanks for making me laugh. I really needed that today. Any time. He meant it. Same time tomorrow. If you're offering, I'm accepting. Fair warning, though. I'm working a double tomorrow, so I'll probably be even more zombie-like than usual. Zombie Emma is still better company than most of my passengers. Emma smiled, that genuine smile that made her eyes light up, and stepped out of the cab. Alex watched her walk to her building, noticed how she favored her right leg slightly, probably from standing all night. This was dangerous. He was supposed to be finding out if someone could love him without the money, but every conversation with Emma made him forget about the experiment entirely. He just wanted to make her laugh again. His phone buzzed. Marcus. Marcus. How's the taxi life? Met anyone interesting? Alex. Maybe. Marcus. Maybe. Details. Now. Alex. Her name is Emma. She's a nurse. Works 2 jobs. Makes me laugh. Doesn't know who I am. Marcus. So, exactly what you were hoping for. Alex. Exactly what I was hoping for, and also terrifying. Marcus. Welcome to real feelings, my friend. It's about damn time. Over the next 2 weeks, Alex became Emma's regular driver. Every morning at 7 a.m., he was outside Grady Memorial. Sometimes she'd worked all night and would fall asleep in the back seat, trusting him completely. Sometimes she'd be wired on coffee and would tell him stories about patients. Never names, always respectful of privacy, but stories that made him laugh or made him think. He learned that she took her coffee with an alarming amount of sugar. I'm basically drinking syrup with coffee flavoring. That she'd wanted to be a marine biologist as a kid until she discovered she got violently seasick, and that she had a younger brother named Tyler who was studying engineering at Georgia Tech. He's the smart one in the family, Emma said one morning, gesturing with her coffee mug. Full scholarship. I'm so proud of him I could burst. You're pretty smart yourself, Alex pointed out. Nursing school isn't exactly easy. Book smart, maybe, but life smart. I'm a disaster. I dated a guy for 6 months who turned out to be engaged to someone else. I bought a car that exploded. I once tried to make homemade pasta and somehow set off the fire alarm. I'm a walking catastrophe. You're not a catastrophe, you're just human. Sweet of you to say, but I'm pretty sure most humans don't accidentally dye their hair green while trying to go blonde. Alex laughed. Okay, I need that story. Absolutely not. Some secrets die with me. In return, Alex told her about his life, or at least the version of his life that fit Alex Turner, taxi driver. He talked about growing up in Marietta, true. About loving terrible sci-fi movies, true. About his best friend who was basically his brother, true, though he left out Marcus's CFO title. He didn't tell her about the penthouse, the company, the billions, and every day that omission felt heavier. One morning, Emma climbed into the cab looking particularly exhausted. Her eyes were red, and Alex could tell she'd been crying. "Emma? What's wrong?" "Nothing. It's stupid." She wiped at her eyes angrily. "Just, my mom needs another round of tests. Routine, they say, but after cancer, nothing feels routine. And the bill estimate came through and—" Her voice cracked. "I don't know how I'm going to cover it. I'm already drowning." Alex's hands tightened on the steering wheel. He could fix this. He could write a check right now that would solve all her problems. Hell, he could buy the hospital. But that wasn't Alex Turner. That was Alexander Hayes. And if he revealed himself now, would Emma ever believe that he hadn't been lying to her all along? "How much?" he asked quietly. $3,500. Might as well be $1 million. An idea formed. A terrible, wonderful, completely insane idea. "I might know someone," Alex said slowly. "A guy who runs a small tech company. He does medical grant stuff, helps people with bills, no strings attached. Would you be okay if I reached out to him?" Emma looked at him in the rearview mirror, hope and suspicion warring in her expression. "Alex, that's incredibly kind, but I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking. I'm offering, and he's a good guy. I promise." "I don't know. Just think about it, okay?" Emma nodded slowly. "Okay. Thank you. You're a really good person, Alex Turner." Guilt twisted in Alex's stomach like a knife. If only she knew. Alex sat in Marcus's office at Hayes Innovation Tower, feeling like an imposter in his own building. He'd snuck in through the parking garage at midnight, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. The 42nd floor felt like a museum of his old life. Sterile, expensive, empty. "Let me get this straight," Marcus said, leaning back in his chair with an expression somewhere between amusement and concern. "You want to anonymously pay this woman's mother's medical bills through a fake grant program? It's not fake. Hayes Innovation has a medical assistance fund. We just don't publicize it much. Because it doesn't exist. It will exist as of tomorrow morning. I'll fund it myself, anonymously." Alex paced the length of the office. "Marcus, you should have seen her face. She's drowning, and I can help. I have to help." "And you don't think this is going to blow up in your face spectacularly?" "Probably. But what's the alternative? Let her suffer when I could fix it with what amounts to pocket change for me?" Marcus studied him carefully. "You're in love with her." "I've known her for 2 weeks. That's not an answer." Alex stopped pacing. Through the window, Atlanta sprawled beneath them, millions of lights twinkling in the darkness. Somewhere down there, Emma was probably finishing her Waffle House shift, feet aching, wondering how she'd pay for her mother's tests. "I don't know what I am," Alex admitted, "but I know that when she laughs at my terrible jokes, I feel more like myself than I have in years. And when she tells me about her day, I actually care. Not because I'm supposed to care, but because I do. That's called feelings, buddy. Welcome to being human. It's terrifying." "It's supposed to be." Marcus stood, clapping Alex on the shoulder. "I'll set up the grant program, but Alex, eventually you're going to have to tell her the truth." "I know. And she's going to be pissed. I know that too." 3 days later, Emma climbed into the taxi with an expression Alex had never seen before, pure, unfiltered joy. "Alex! Alex, oh my God!" She was practically bouncing in the back seat. "You're not going to believe this. Remember that medical grant thing you mentioned? I applied and they called me this morning. They're covering everything, every single penny. My mom's tests, the previous bills, everything." Alex's heart soared and sank simultaneously. "Emma, that's incredible." "I know. I literally cried for 20 minutes. The woman on the phone said they review applications and mine qualified immediately. No strings attached, just help. I didn't even know organizations like this existed." Emma's eyes were shining with tears. "And it's all because you told me about it. Alex, you changed my life." Guilt crashed over him like a wave. "I'm just glad I could help connect you to the right people." "You did more than that. You gave me hope when I had none." Emma leaned forward, and before Alex could process what was happening, she wrapped her arms around him from behind, hugging him awkwardly over the seat. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Alex froze, acutely aware of her arms around him, the scent of her shampoo, something floral and clean, and the warmth of her gratitude that he absolutely did not deserve. "You're welcome," he managed, his voice rough. Emma settled back into her seat, still grinning. "This calls for a celebration. Are you free Saturday night? Let me buy you dinner. Nothing fancy. I'm still broke until my Waffle House paycheck hits. But there's this amazing taco place in Little 5 Points. Best fish tacos in Atlanta." And I refused to take no for an answer. Alex knew he should say no. Every interaction was another lie, another deception. But Emma was looking at him with such genuine happiness, such trust, and he was a weak, selfish man. I'd love that. "Perfect. 7 o'clock? I'll text you the address." As Alex pulled away from Emma's apartment, his phone rang. "Marcus. Please tell me you didn't sleep with her." "What? No. Marcus. What the hell?" "Just checking, because there's a photo of you circulating on social media. Someone spotted you at the hospital last week picking up Emma. Caption says, Alexander Hayes' new low-key look with about 15 question marks. Alex's blood went cold. "How bad is it?" "Not terrible yet. Most people think it's just someone who looks like you. But Alex, if someone connects the dots, if Emma sees this, I'll handle it." "How?" Alex didn't have an answer. Saturday night arrived faster than Alex wanted. He'd spent the week in a paranoid haze, checking social media obsessively, wearing different hats and sunglasses like a budget spy movie. The photo Marcus mentioned had mostly faded into obscurity, but the anxiety remained. He met Emma outside Tijuana Garage in Little 5 Points, a colorful neighborhood filled with vintage shops and street art. Emma had traded her scrubs for jeans and a simple green top that made her eyes look impossibly bright. Her hair was down for the first time since he'd met her, falling in soft waves past her shoulders. She was beautiful, and Alex was completely screwed. "You clean up nice, Turner," Emma said, grinning. "I was starting to think you only owned flannel shirts." "I have at least 2 non-flannel shirts. This is one of them. Impressive wardrobe diversity." They grabbed a table on the patio, string lights casting a warm glow over the mismatched furniture. Emma ordered fish tacos and a margarita. Alex got the same, trying to remember the last time he'd been to a restaurant that didn't require reservations months in advance. "So," Emma said, taking a sip of her margarita, "I've been talking about myself non-stop for 2 weeks. It's your turn. Tell me about Alex Turner. The real story." Alex's heart stuttered. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. Where'd you grow up? What's your family like? How does someone end up driving a taxi in Atlanta? Give me the full biography." Alex took a long drink of his margarita, buying time. "Born and raised in Marietta, my parents owned a small business, computer repair shop. They worked hard, taught me to work hard. Dad died when I was in college, heart attack. Mum followed a few years later, cancer." That was all true. The part he left out was the multi-million-dollar tech company he'd built from that small repair shop's foundation. "I'm sorry," Emma said softly. "Losing both parents. I can't imagine. It was rough, but it taught me not to take anything for granted. Also true. What about you? I know you have your brother Tyler and your mum, but what about your dad?" Emma's expression shuttered slightly. "Left when I was 12. Decided being a father was too much responsibility. Last I heard he was in Florida with a new family. Tyler doesn't even remember him." "That's his loss," Alex said firmly. "Seriously. Anyone who walks away from you and your brother is an idiot." Emma smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "That's sweet. You know, you're very easy to talk to, dangerously easy. Is that a problem?" "It might be. I have terrible judgment when it comes to men." "The engaged guy?" "That's one example. There was also Brandon." Emma said the name like it tasted bad. "My most recent disaster. Dated for 8 months. He was this finance guy, always wearing expensive suits, taking me to places I couldn't afford. I should have known better, but he was charming and I was stupid." Alex's stomach tightened. "What happened?" I overheard him at a party talking to his friends. He called me his charity project, the poor nurse he was slumming with to feel good about himself. Said dating me was like I was a good deed he could brag about. Emma's voice was steady, but Alex could see the hurt underneath. When I confronted him, he laughed. Said I should be grateful someone like him had paid attention to someone like me. Rage, white-hot and intense, flooded through Alex. Please tell me you threw your drink in his face. Better. I took the very expensive bottle of wine he'd ordered, told him exactly where he could shove his charity and walked out. He tried to make me pay for the wine, but the restaurant refused after I told them why. Emma laughed, but it was bitter. That's when I made my rule. No more rich guys. They don't see people like me as human. We're just entertainment. A story to tell their country club friends. Alex felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. Emma. Sorry. She shook her head, forcing a brighter smile. I didn't mean to bring down the mood. Past is past, right? And you're nothing like Brandon. You're real, you see me. If only she knew how unreal he actually was. Before Alex could respond, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her entire body went rigid. No. No. What's wrong? Emma looked up, her face pale. Brandon. He's here. And sure enough, walking across the patio with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no, was a tall man in an expensive polo shirt and designer jeans. He had the kind of good looks that came from good genes and better personal trainers. He spotted Emma and smiled, a predatory, satisfied smile that made Alex's hands clench into fists. Emma! What a surprise, Brandon said, approaching their table. His eyes flicked to Alex, dismissive and condescending. Still slumming it, I see. Who's this? Your Uber driver? Emma stood abruptly. Leave, Brandon. Come on, don't be like that. I've missed you. We had something special. Brandon reached for Emma's hand, and Alex stood too, positioning himself between them. The lady asked you to leave, Alex said quietly. Brandon laughed. And you're what? Her knight in shining flannel. Please, Emma, when you're done playing poor, give me a call. You know you belong with someone on your level. My level, Emma said, her voice shaking with fury, is so far above you that you'd need a telescope to see it. And for the record, Alex is 10 times the man you'll ever be. Now get out of my sight before I make a scene that ends with you on social media for all the wrong reasons. Brandon's smile faltered. He looked at Alex, seemed to consider saying something else, then shrugged. Your loss? He walked away, and Emma slowly sank back into her chair, trembling. Emma, I'm okay. I'm fine. That was just... She took a shaky breath. God, I hate that he can still get to me. Alex reached across the table, taking her hand. He's a jackass who doesn't deserve 1 second of your time or energy. Emma looked down at their joined hands, then up at Alex. How are you real? Seriously, are you some kind of elaborate hallucination? I'm real. The lie burned. And Emma, you're worth 1,000 Brandons. You're smart, kind, funny, and strong. Any man who can't see that is blind. Even a taxi driver can see it. Emma's smile was teasing, but her eyes were serious. Especially a taxi driver. They sat there, hands still joined across the table, string lights twinkling overhead, and Alex knew with absolute certainty that he was in love with Emma Carter, and that when she found out the truth, it would destroy them both. Day 23 of Alex's taxi driver experiment, and he was running out of time in more ways than one. The photo incident had blown over, but Marcus was getting increasingly nervous. You can't hide forever, he'd said during their last midnight meeting. Vanessa is telling everyone you're in rehab. The board is asking questions, and that journalist from the Atlanta Business Chronicle keeps calling. But Alex couldn't bring himself to care about board meetings or business journalists. Not when Emma texted him good morning every day. Not when she'd started keeping a coffee mug in his taxi. Her mug, because she trusted him enough to leave pieces of herself in his space. They'd fallen into a routine that felt dangerously like a relationship. Morning rides turned into morning rides plus coffee stops. Evening pickups from the Waffle House became evening drives through the city, windows down, talking about everything and nothing. Alex had never been happier. He'd also never been more terrified. "Earth to Alex," Emma said, waving her hand in front of his face. They were parked at Piedmont Park, sitting on the hood of the taxi, watching dogs chase frisbees and couples stroll hand in hand. It was Emma's day off, and somehow they'd ended up spending it together. "Where'd you go just now?" "Sorry. Just thinking." "About?" "About how I'm lying to you. About how I'm falling in love with you. About how this is all going to explode and I'll lose you. About how you never told me the end of the green hair story," he said instead. Emma laughed, throwing her head back. "Nice try, but that secret dies with me." "Come on. I told you about the time I accidentally adopted a stray cat that turned out to be my neighbor's very expensive Persian. That's not the same level of embarrassment. I kept it for 3 days, Emma. 3 days of calling it Mr. Whiskers before Mrs. Chen knocked on my door, asking if I'd seen Lord Fluffington III. Emma was laughing so hard she was crying. "Lord Fluffington? Oh my God, of course rich people name their cats things like that." Alex's smile froze. "What?" "You know, rich people. They give their pets ridiculous names." Emma wiped her eyes, still grinning. "Like my neighbor in college had a goldfish named Sir Reginald Bubbles, Esquire. I mean, it's a goldfish. It lived in a bowl. Why does it need a title?" "Right. Rich people. Ridiculous." Alex forced a laugh, but it sounded hollow even to his own ears. Emma's smile faded slightly. "You okay? You've been weird all morning." "I'm fine, just—" He searched for an excuse. "My friend Marcus called earlier. Some stuff going on with his company." "The tech guy. The one who set up the medical grant." Alex nodded, the lie getting more tangled. "Yeah. He's dealing with some board drama. Politics and money. You know how it is." "Not really." Emma leaned back on her hands, tilting her face toward the sun. "That world is so far removed from mine it might as well be Mars. I can't imagine caring about stocks and mergers and whatever else rich people worry about." "What do you think rich people worry about?" "Honestly? Probably which yacht to buy or which private school to send their kids to. Completely different universe from worrying about whether you can afford both groceries and gas this week." Alex was quiet. Emma had no idea how close to home she was hitting. "Sorry," Emma said, glancing at him. "I don't mean to sound bitter, it's just... After Brandon, I realized how different our worlds were. He'd spend more on a dinner than I make in a week, and he couldn't understand why that bothered me. Why I felt uncomfortable in those restaurants where the waiters look at you like they can calculate your net worth by your shoes. Not all wealthy people are like Brandon. Maybe not. But I don't want to find out." Emma sat up, pulling her knees to her chest. "I like my life, Alex. It's not fancy, but it's real. The people in it are real. You're real. That matters more to me than any amount of money." The words hit Alex like a physical blow. "You're real." Except he wasn't. He was the biggest lie she'd ever encountered, wrapped in flannel and driving a taxi. "Emma." His phone rang. Marcus, of course. Terrible timing, as always. "Sorry, I need to take this." Alex slid off the hood, walking a few steps away. "Marcus, this better be important." "It is. Vanessa showed up at the office. She's threatening to hire a private investigator to find you. Says you owe her closure or some bullshit. And Alex? She knows about the taxi." Alex's blood ran cold. "How?" "Instagram. Someone tagged her in that photo from a few weeks ago. She recognized you even with the beard. She's connecting dots. Can you handle her?" "I'm trying, but she's pissed and determined. And..." Marcus hesitated. "There's something else. That journalist? He's been asking around about mysterious medical grants. Someone mentioned Emma's name." Alex closed his eyes. The careful house of cards he'd built was starting to collapse. "I need more time." "You're out of time, Alex. You have to tell her today before she finds out some other way." "I can't. Not yet." "Then when? When she sees you on the cover of Forbes? When Vanessa tracks you down? When some reporter breaks the story?" Alex didn't have an answer. He hung up and turned back to find Emma watching him with a curious expression. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just work stuff." "You keep saying that. But you're a taxi driver. How much drama can there be?" "More than you know." "You'd be surprised." Emma stood, brushing off her jeans. "Alex, can I ask you something? And I want an honest answer." Alex's heart was pounding. "Of course. Are you happy? Like genuinely happy driving a taxi? Because sometimes you seem, I don't know, like you're pretending to be someone you're not. The irony was suffocating. I'm happy when I'm with you, Alex said, and that at least was completely true. Emma's expression softened. She walked over to him, standing close enough that he could see the gold flecks in her green eyes. I'm happy when I'm with you too. Which is terrifying, by the way. I swore off relationships, especially with taxi drivers. Alex tried to joke, but his voice came out strained. With anyone, but especially with anyone who might break my heart. Emma reached up, touching his face gently. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you're who you say you are, that this is real. Because I don't think I could handle another Brandon situation, another person who was just playing pretend with my life. Alex felt like he was drowning. Every word Emma said was a knife twisting deeper. He should tell her right now, rip off the Band-Aid and face the consequences. But when he opened his mouth, what came out was, I promise. Emma smiled, that beautiful, trusting smile, and kissed his cheek. Good, because I'm kind of falling for you, Alex Turner, and that scares the hell out of me. Me too, Alex whispered. They spent the rest of the afternoon at the park, talking and laughing, and Alex tried to memorize every moment. The way Emma's nose crinkled when she laughed, the way she gestured wildly when telling stories, the way she looked at him like he was someone worth knowing, because soon, very soon, she'd look at him completely differently. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alex's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Unknown. Hi, Alex. Or should I say Alexander? This is Vanessa. We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the St. Regis, or I'm going to that cute little nurse's apartment to introduce myself. Your choice. XOXO. Alex stared at the message, his stomach turning to ice. 24 hours. He had 24 hours to figure out how to tell Emma the truth before Vanessa did it for him. And unlike the medical grant or the taxi license, this was a problem he couldn't solve with money. Alex didn't sleep that night. He sat in the cramped Virginia Highland apartment, staring at Vanessa's text, running through 1,000 scenarios in his mind. None of them ended well. By 6:45 a.m. he was outside Grady Memorial, same as always. When Emma slid into the back seat, she immediately noticed something was wrong. You look terrible, she said, concern flooding her voice. Did you sleep at all? Not really. Alex pulled into traffic, his hands gripping the steering wheel too tightly. Emma, I need to tell you something. That sounds ominous. It's important. Can we talk, really talk, not in the car, somewhere private? Emma's expression shifted from concern to worry. Alex, you're scaring me. What's going on? Please, after your shift, I'll pick you up and we'll go somewhere quiet. I need to explain something. Okay. Emma reached forward, squeezing his shoulder. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Together. The word together felt like a punch to the gut. Alex dropped Emma at her apartment and spent the day in agony. He tried calling Vanessa, she didn't answer. He texted her, begging for more time. She responded with a selfie of herself outside Emma's apartment building, captioned, "Tick-tock." At 1:45 p.m., Alex made a decision. He'd meet Vanessa, end this, and then tell Emma everything himself, on his terms, with the truth. The St. Regis bar was exactly as he remembered. Elegant, expensive, exclusive. Alex felt like an imposter in his flannel shirt and jeans, but Vanessa had picked the location specifically to make him uncomfortable. She was waiting at a corner table, perfectly coiffed and dripping with jewelry that probably cost more than most people's cars. Alexander, she purred as he approached, you look rustic. Vanessa, what do you want? Sit down, have a drink, let's be civilized. Alex remained standing. You threatened Emma. That's not civilized. Oh, the nurse. Vanessa waved a manicured hand dismissively. Is she why you've been hiding? Playing taxi driver and pretending to be poor? That's adorable, really. Very Prince and the Pauper. This isn't a game, isn't it? Vanessa leaned back, studying him. You disappeared without a word, Alex. Made me look like a fool. The least you could do is explain why you're throwing away everything, your company, your reputation, your life, for some girl who doesn't even know who you are. She knows who I am, the real me. Vanessa laughed, a cold, brittle sound. She knows Alex Turner, taxi driver. She has no idea about Alexander Hayes, billionaire CEO. And when she finds out, and she will, she's going to hate you. Because you lied to her. You made her believe in some fantasy version of you. I didn't lie about the important things. You lied about everything that matters. Vanessa stood, her voice rising. How you think she's going to forgive you? You think she's going to believe that your feelings are real when your entire relationship is built on deception? Alex had no answer because Vanessa was right. Here's what's going to happen, Vanessa continued, her voice dropping to something almost sympathetic. I'm going to leave. I'm going to tell everyone you had a nervous breakdown, but you're recovering. And in return, you're going to come back to your real life, back where you belong. And if I don't? Then I go to Emma's apartment and tell her everything. Who you are, what you did, how you manipulated her. I'll make sure she knows about the medical grant, how you basically bought her affection. How would that feel, Alex? To have her look at you the same way she looked at Brandon? The threat hit its mark. Alex felt sick. You have until 5 o'clock, Vanessa said, gathering her purse. Make the right choice. She walked away, leaving Alex alone in a bar that suddenly felt suffocatingly small. Alex sat in the taxi outside Emma's building at 6:30 p.m., his heart hammering against his ribs. He'd decided he'd tell her everything, right now, before Vanessa, before anyone else. Emma deserved the truth from him. He texted, I'm outside, ready when you are. Emma emerged 5 minutes later, wearing jeans and a soft sweater, her hair still damp from the shower. She slid into the passenger seat this time, not the back, and smiled at him. So mysterious, urgent conversation, she said. Should I be worried? Emma, His phone rang. Marcus. Alex almost didn't answer, but something in his gut told him to pick up. Marcus, I can't talk right now. Alex, listen to me. There's a reporter outside Emma's building. He knows. About you. About Emma. About everything. He's going to approach her any second and... Through the windshield, Alex saw him. A man in a rumpled suit holding a camera, walking directly toward the taxi. Emma, we need to go now. What? Alex, what's... The reporter knocked on the window. Miss Carter, I'm James Mitchell from the Atlanta Business Chronicle. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your relationship with Alexander Hayes. Emma's face went blank with confusion. Who? Alexander Hayes, CEO of Hayes Innovation, worth approximately $3.2 billion. Also known as your taxi driver, Alex Turner. The world seemed to stop. Emma turned to Alex slowly, her expression transforming from confusion to dawning horror. What is he talking about? Emma, let me explain. Is he telling the truth? Her voice was barely a whisper. Are you Alexander Hayes? The reporter was snapping photos. Alex could see more people gathering, phones out, recording. Yes, Alex said, the word feeling like a confession and a death sentence simultaneously. But Emma, please, let me explain. I was going to tell you right now, You're a billionaire. Emma's voice was hollow, this whole time. The taxi, the apartment, everything, it was all fake. Not everything. My feelings for you, they're real. Everything we talked about, everything we shared. The medical grant. Emma's eyes were filling with tears. Oh my God. The medical grant. That was you, wasn't it? You didn't connect me to anyone. You paid it yourself. I wanted to help. You bought me. Emma's voice cracked. Just like Brandon said, I'm a charity case, a project. Something for you to feel good about while you played dress-up in the real world. No, Emma, that's not... Was any of it real? Tears were streaming down her face now. The coffee, the conversations, the park. Was I just some experiment? Some way for you to feel like a normal person before you went back to your penthouse and your billions? You're not an experiment. I love you. The words hung in the air, and Emma flinched like he'd struck her. You don't get to say that, she whispered. You don't get to tell me you love me when you've been lying to me from the very first moment, When you made me believe. She couldn't finish the sentence. Emma opened the car door, stumbling out onto the sidewalk. Alex followed, the reporter still filming, people gathering to watch the drama unfold. Emma, please, just let me explain. Give me 5 minutes, you've had 3 weeks. Emma turned on him, fury and pain warring in her expression. 3 weeks to tell me the truth. 3 weeks while I told you about Brandon, about how I hated rich men who treated me like I was less than human. And you just sat there, lying to my face, making me trust you, making me... Her voice broke. Making me fall in love with you. Alex reached for her, but she stepped back. I asked you, Emma said, tears streaming freely now. At the park, I asked you to promise me you were who you said you were, and you looked me in the eye and lied. I was trying to protect... Protect who? Me or yourself? Emma's laugh was bitter. God, I'm so stupid. I actually thought you were different, that you saw me. But you just saw another poor girl you could save, another story to tell your rich friends. That's not true, and you know it. I don't know anything anymore, Emma shouted. I don't know who you are. I don't know what was real. I don't know if you actually cared about me or if I was just entertainment, a way to pass the time while you took your little vacation from reality. The reporter was asking questions. Bystanders were murmuring. Phones were everywhere. But Alex only saw Emma, the pain in her eyes, the betrayal in every line of her body. Emma, he said softly, I'm still the same person. I'm still Alex. No, Emma said, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Alex was kind and honest and real. You're Alexander Hayes, and I don't know you at all. She turned and walked into her building, leaving Alex standing on the sidewalk, watching his entire world collapse in real time. The reporter was still talking, the crowd was still watching, but Alex felt nothing except the hollow ache in his chest where his heart used to be. He'd wanted to know if someone could love him without the money. Now he had his answer, and it was destroying him. The story went viral within hours. Billionaire CEO plays taxi driver, falls for unsuspecting nurse, screamed the headlines. Photos of Alex and Emma outside her building were everywhere. Social media, news sites, even morning talk shows debating whether it was romantic or manipulative. Alex's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Board members demanding explanations. Investors asking if he'd lost his mind. Vanessa leaving voicemails that alternated between smug and furious. Marcus had taken over damage control at Hayes Innovation, but even he admitted the situation was a PR nuclear bomb. None of it mattered. The only call Alex wanted was from Emma. It never came. For 3 days, Alex sat in the Virginia Highland apartment, the one he'd rented specifically for this experiment, staring at his phone. The taxi sat unused in the parking lot. He'd deleted all his rideshare apps. He couldn't bring himself to drive those streets anymore, knowing Emma was out there hurting because of him. On day 4, Marcus showed up uninvited. You look like hell, Marcus said, surveying the empty takeout containers and the fact that Alex was wearing the same clothes from 2 days ago. Thanks for the observation. Alex, you need to deal with this. The company needs you. The board is threatening a vote of no confidence. Vanessa is... I don't care about the company, Alex exploded. I don't care about the board or Vanessa or any of it. I care about Emma. And I destroyed her. I destroyed the one real thing I've had in years, Marcus. So forgive me if I don't give a damn about stock prices right now. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he sat down across from Alex. You really love her. Of course I love her. That was the whole problem. I loved her so much I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth because I knew I'd lose her. Alex put his head in his hands, and I lost her anyway. So what are you going to do? What can I do? She hates me. She thinks I used her, that she was just some experiment. And maybe she's right. Maybe I did use her to feel normal for a while. Maybe I am just like Brandon. You're nothing like Brandon, Marcus said firmly. Brandon dated her to feel superior. You fell in love with her because she made you want to be better. There's a difference. Does it matter? The result is the same. She's hurt and it's my fault. Marcus leaned forward. Alex, I've been your friend for 15 years. I've seen you build an empire, make billion-dollar deals, negotiate with some of the toughest people in tech, but I've never seen you fight for something that actually matters to you. Not like this. What am I supposed to do? She won't answer my calls. She won't see me. I've sent flowers, letters, texts, nothing. She's made it clear she wants nothing to do with me. Then you need to show her, not tell her. Show her that Alex Turner wasn't a lie, that the person she fell in love with is real, even if you weren't honest about the bank account. Alex looked up. How? I have an idea, Marcus said, but you're not going to like it. Emma hadn't gone to work in 3 days. She'd called in sick, which wasn't entirely a lie. She felt sick. Sick with betrayal, sick with heartbreak, sick with the humiliation of being all over the internet. Billionaire's secret nurse girlfriend, the articles called her. Her phone was flooded with messages from reporters, from old classmates she hadn't spoken to in years, from random people offering sympathy or asking for her side of the story. She'd blocked Alex's number on day 1, but she could still see his face in her mind, the way he'd looked at her in the taxi, the panic in his eyes when the reporter approached, the devastation when she walked away. You should eat something, Tyler said, sitting on her couch with a bag of Chinese takeout. Her brother had shown up yesterday and refused to leave. You haven't eaten in like 24 hours. Not hungry. Emma, come on. I know you're hurt, but you're going to make yourself actually sick. Emma finally looked at him. Tyler was 21, studying engineering at Georgia Tech on a full scholarship. He was brilliant and practical and didn't understand emotional devastation. He lied to me, Tyler, for 3 weeks every single day. I know. He let me tell him about Brandon, about how much I hated rich guys who treated me like I was less than human, and he just sat there, knowing he was doing the exact same thing. Was he, though? Tyler asked carefully. What? Was he treating you like you were less than human? Because from what you told me before all this blew up, he treated you pretty damn well. He listened to you, made you laugh, showed up every single day, paid your mom's medical bills without asking for anything in return. He lied about who he was. He lied about his bank account, Tyler corrected. Did he lie about liking old movies? About his parents dying? About his terrible puns and his weird taxi passenger collection? Emma was silent. Look, Tyler continued, I'm not saying what he did was right. It wasn't. But maybe ask yourself this. If he'd walked up to you on day 1 and said, Hi, I'm Alexander Hayes, billionaire CEO. Want to grab coffee? Would you have given him the time of day? That's not the point, isn't it? You told me yourself you had a rule about rich guys. You wouldn't date them. So he found a way to get you to know him, the real him, without the money getting in the way. Tyler shrugged. Is that manipulation or desperation? Whose side are you on? Yours. Always. But Emma, I've never seen you as happy as you were these past few weeks. You'd come home smiling, laughing. You talked about him constantly, and now you're miserable. So maybe he's not the villain here. Maybe he's just an idiot who fell in love and handled it badly. Emma wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Because Tyler was right about one thing, she had been happy, genuinely, completely happy for the first time since before their dad left. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Probably another reporter, but when she opened it, her breath caught. It was a photo of her mum standing outside Grady Memorial Hospital with a huge smile, holding a sign that read, Cancer-free 6 months. The text below read, This arrived at the hospital today with your mother's name on it. Check your email. Tyler's friend at Tech, Emma, opened her email with shaking hands. There was a message from someone named Marcus Chen, CFO of Hayes Innovation. Miss Carter, I'm writing on behalf of the Hayes Innovation Medical Assistance Program. Due to a recent administrative review, we discovered an error in your grant disbursement. The amount provided should have included coverage for ongoing monitoring and preventive care for your mother. Attached, you'll find updated documentation showing a new grant that will cover your mother's medical care for the next 5 years, including all tests, treatments, and prescriptions. This is not contingent on any relationship with Mr. Hayes or anyone else at Hayes Innovation. It is a permanent, irrevocable grant based solely on your application merits. Additionally, I want you to know that Alexander Hayes has formally resigned from his CEO position at Hayes Innovation, effective immediately. He has established the Medical Assistance Program as an independent nonprofit, funded entirely by his personal assets. He will not be involved in any decisions regarding your grant or any future communications. He wanted to make sure you knew this was real, permanent and not dependent on him in any way. Sincerely, Marcus Chen. Emma read the email 3 times, tears streaming down her face. Emma? Tyler touched her shoulder. What is it? He quit, she whispered. Alexander, he quit his company, set up a whole non-profit, made sure my mum's care is covered permanently, and then removed himself completely. That's... Tyler trailed off. Wow. Emma's phone rang. This time it was her mum. Emma, baby, did you see? Did you hear? They're covering everything. 5 years. I can't believe... Why are you crying? Happy tears, Mom, Emma managed. Just happy tears. After she hung up, Emma sat on her couch, staring at the email. Alex hadn't tried to buy her forgiveness. He'd solved the problem that had brought them together in the first place, and then walked away. Tyler was watching her carefully. What are you going to do? I don't know. Do you still love him? Emma closed her eyes. The answer was immediate and painful. Yes. Then maybe, Tyler said gently, you should figure out if loving someone means accepting their mistakes. Even the big ones. Emma thought about Alex's face when she walked away, the devastation in his eyes, the way his voice broke when he said, I love you. She thought about 3 weeks of conversations, laughter and connection, about a man who drove her to work every morning, who listened to her complain, who made her feel seen for the first time in years. She thought about the medical grant, not as manipulation, but as a man who saw someone he cared about suffering and tried to help the only way he knew how. And she thought about the question Tyler had asked. Would she have given Alexander Hayes a chance if he'd been honest from the start? The answer, if she was being brutally honest, was probably no. Emma picked up her phone and unblocked a number. She didn't call, not yet, but she didn't delete it either. It was a start. 2 weeks after unblocking Alex's number, Emma still hadn't called. She'd typed out 100 messages and deleted them all. What was she supposed to say? Sorry I called you a liar. Turns out you were just a billionaire trying not to be lonely. Thanks for the medical bills. Want to grab coffee? Nothing felt right. She was working a double at Grady Memorial when Tyler texted her a link with the message, You need to see this. Emma opened it on her break. It was an interview, Alexander Hayes on some tech podcast she'd never heard of. The thumbnail showed him looking tired and somehow smaller than she remembered, even though he was technically the same person as Alex. Against her better judgment, Emma hit play. So, Alexander, the interviewer was saying, you've been out of the public eye since stepping down from Hayes Innovation. A lot of people are wondering, why give up everything you built? There was a pause. When Alex spoke, his voice was rough. Because I realized I'd been building the wrong thing. I thought success meant money, power, recognition. But the only time I felt successful, truly successful, was when I was driving a taxi and talking to a woman who had no idea who I was. The nurse. Emma Carter. Yes. And before you ask, no, I'm not here to talk about her specifically. She deserves her privacy, and I've already violated that enough. But I will say this. She taught me what it means to be rich, and it has nothing to do with money. Emma's hand was shaking, making the phone wobble. You've started a non-profit focused on medical debt relief, the interviewer continued. Is that because of her? It's because of a lot of people like her. People working 2 jobs, sacrificing everything, drowning in bills because they or someone they love got sick. That's obscene. We live in a country where getting cancer can bankrupt you, where nurses, people who save lives every single day, can't afford to get sick themselves. Alex's voice was passionate now, alive in a way Emma had never heard. The non-profit is my way of doing something that actually matters. Not another app, not another tech innovation, just helping people. And your personal life. Any regrets about the taxi driver experiment? Another long pause. Only one. I regret not telling her the truth from the beginning. I thought I was protecting something precious by hiding who I was. But I was really just protecting myself from possible rejection. And in doing that, I hurt the one person who... His voice cracked slightly. Who made me want to be honest in the first place. The interviewer moved on to other topics, but Emma stopped listening. She sat in the Grady break room, surrounded by the smell of bad coffee and antiseptic, and cried. Alex was at Piedmont Park, sitting on the same bench where he and Emma had spent that perfect afternoon. It was masochistic, maybe, but he came here every Saturday. A ritual of self-torture and remembrance. He'd kept his promise, stayed away from Emma completely. Marcus had handled all communications about the medical grant. Alex had moved out of the Virginia Highland apartment and back to his penthouse, though it felt more like a prison now than it ever had before. The yellow taxi sat in storage. He couldn't bring himself to sell it or drive it. It felt sacred somehow, a relic of the only 30 days in his life when he'd been truly happy. You know, a voice said behind him, for a billionaire, you're not very hard to find. You're literally in the same spot every Saturday. Alex spun around. Emma stood there, wearing jeans and a Grady Memorial hoodie, her hair pulled back in that messy ponytail he loved. She looked nervous, beautiful, and somehow more real than anything else in his life. Emma. His voice came out strangled. What are you... How did you... Tyler did some investigating. Turns out you're a creature of habit. She moved around the bench, maintaining distance between them. I listened to your podcast interview. I didn't say those things to manipulate you into talking to me. I meant them. I know. Emma sat down on the far end of the bench, leaving 3 feet of space between them. That's why I'm here. They sat in silence for a moment, watching a family fly a kite on the grass, a golden retriever chasing pigeons, life continuing around them like they weren't in the middle of something momentous. I don't know how to do this, Emma said finally. I don't know how to forgive you for lying to me, but I also don't know how to stop loving you, and I've tried. For 2 weeks I've tried. Alex's heart was hammering so hard he thought it might break through his chest. Emma, let me finish. She turned to face him, her green eyes bright with unshed tears. Tyler asked me a question that I couldn't stop thinking about. He asked if I would have given Alexander Hayes a chance if you'd been honest from the beginning. And the truth is, probably not. I had too many walls up, too much hurt from Brandon, too much fear of being someone's charity case again. You were never... I know that now, but I didn't know it then. And if you'd walked up to me with your real name and your billions, I would have run. I would have assumed you were just another Brandon, and I would have missed out on the best 3 weeks of my life. Alex felt tears burning behind his eyes. Emma, I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I should have trusted you with the truth. I should have... You should have been braver, Emma agreed, and I should have been less judgmental. We both messed up. Question is, do we want to keep messing up separately, or do we want to try figuring it out together? Together, Alex said immediately. Always together, if you'll have me. I have conditions. Emma held up her hand. First, no more lies, ever. I don't care how small, how well-intentioned. If we do this, we do it with complete honesty. Done. Second, I'm not moving into your penthouse or letting you pay for things or changing my life. I like my apartment, I like my job, I like who I am. If you want to be with me, you're getting Emma the nurse who eats ramen and works double shifts, not some upgraded version. I don't want an upgraded version. I fell in love with Emma the nurse who eats ramen and works double shifts. That's who I want. Third, Emma's voice softened, you have to let me be mad sometimes. When memories of the lie come up, when I feel insecure or scared, you don't get to fix everything with money. You have to let me process things. I can do that. Alex slid closer, closing some of the distance between them. Anything else? Emma smiled. That smile that had made him want to be a better person in the first place. Yeah, you have to keep the taxi. What? The yellow taxi. Keep it. Maybe not drive it professionally, but keep it. Because that taxi brought you to me, and I know this sounds crazy, but I kind of miss our morning drives. You, me, terrible coffee, and traffic on I-20. Alex laughed, the sound catching in his throat. So what, I'm supposed to drive you to work in a taxi when I have a perfectly good car collection? Yep, because I fell in love with Alex Turner, taxi driver, and while I'm willing to try loving Alexander Hayes, billionaire, I need to know that Alex is still in there somewhere. He's in here. Alex touched his chest. He's always been here. I just got lost for a while. Then let's both stop being lost. Emma finally closed the distance between them, taking his hand. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. We have a lot to work through, trust to rebuild, but Alexander, whoever you are, I want to try. I love you, Alex said, the words coming easier now. I love your stubbornness and your strength and the way you care about people. I love that you call me on my crap and don't let me hide behind money. I love you, Emma Carter, and I promise I will spend every day earning back your trust. I love you too, Emma whispered, even though you're an idiot who pulled the most elaborate rom-com stunt in history. In my defense, it worked eventually. After nearly destroying both of us, yeah, great plan. They were both laughing now and crying, and then Alex was pulling her close, and Emma was letting him, and they stayed there on that bench in Piedmont Park as the sun set over Atlanta, painting the sky in shades of gold. Two broken people, learning how to be whole again, together. 6 months later, Emma climbed into the yellow taxi, the same one from that first ride, and grinned at the driver. "Where to, miss?" Alex asked, playing along with their Saturday morning ritual. "Surprise me. Maybe breakfast at Waffle House? Or we could drive past the hospital where a handsome stranger once picked up a very cranky nurse." "Cranky and beautiful," Alex corrected, pulling into traffic, "and that handsome stranger got incredibly lucky." "We both got lucky," Emma said, reaching forward to squeeze his shoulder, "even if you did have to blow up your entire life to figure that out." In the rearview mirror, Alex met her eyes and smiled. The Hayes Innovation nonprofit was thriving. Marcus was running the company better than Alex ever had. And every Saturday morning, Alex Turner, taxi driver, boyfriend, reformed billionaire, drove the love of his life around Atlanta in a yellow cab. It wasn't the life he'd planned. It was infinitely better. "Hey, Emma." "Yeah?" "Thank you for giving me a second chance." Emma leaned back in her seat, watching the city wake up around them. "Thank you for being worth it." The yellow taxi merged onto Ponce de Leon, carrying two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way. And if their story seemed impossible, like something out of a movie, well, sometimes the best love stories are the ones that shouldn't work on paper, but somehow work perfectly in real life. Drop a comment if you loved this story, and hit subscribe for more romantic stories like this.